A powerful storm system could rapidly strengthen across the United States, bringing dangerous tornadoes, flooding, and widespread severe weather. Today's precipitation map across the United States shows that most of the country is experiencing relatively dry conditions, with only scattered areas of light to moderate precipitation. The most organized precipitation is located offshore along the northeast coast, where a stronger band of rain is moving away from New England into the Atlantic Ocean. Across the Central Plains, a broad cloud band stretches from the Rockies toward the Midwest, producing isolated showers over parts of the central United States. Small pockets of light rain are also visible near the southeast, while the Gulf Coast and much of Texas remain mostly dry. The Southwest continues with only isolated precipitation, and the West Coast is seeing limited rainfall activity. Overall, today's precipitation pattern indicates that widespread heavy rain is not affecting most of the United States, although scattered showers remain possible in several regions. Looking ahead over the next 3 days, weather conditions could become much more active if a stronger storm system develops. There is a growing possibility of heavier rainfall, localized flash flooding, and stronger thunderstorm activity across parts of the central and eastern United States. If precipitation increases rapidly, some locations could experience dangerous flooding and significant travel disruptions. Residents should continue monitoring local forecasts and stay prepared for changing weather conditions, as the next few days could bring a much higher risk of impactful precipitation. Today's wind map across the United States shows generally light to moderate winds over much of the country, with a few stronger pockets in the Midwest, Northeast, and along portions of the Atlantic coast. The strongest inland winds are centered near the Great Lakes, where the Chicago area is experiencing wind speeds close to 29 miles per hour. Across the northern plains and upper Midwest, winds remain mostly light, generally between 10 and 15 miles per hour. The southern plains, including Texas, are also seeing relatively calm conditions, with Dallas near 13 miles per hour and Houston around 15 miles per hour. Across the southeast, winds are light to moderate, while Florida continues to experience a steady coastal breeze. In the western United States, wind speeds remain mostly moderate, with stronger flow over parts of the Intermountain West and along the Pacific coast. Overall, today's wind pattern is fairly balanced, with no widespread area of extreme winds affecting the nation. However, looking ahead over the next 3 days, conditions could change quickly if a stronger weather system develops. There is a possibility that wind speeds may increase significantly across parts of the central and eastern United States, creating the potential for damaging wind gusts, hazardous travel, and isolated power outages. If stronger storm systems organize, winds could become much more dangerous in some regions. Everyone should continue monitoring local weather updates and be prepared for rapidly changing wind conditions during the next several days. Today's temperature map across the United States shows a clear contrast between the warmer southern states and the cooler northern regions. The hottest temperatures are concentrated across the southern plains, Gulf Coast, and Florida, where Dallas is around 31 degrees Celsius, Houston near 29 degrees Celsius, Atlanta about 29 degrees Celsius, and Tampa close to 31 degrees Celsius. These areas are experiencing warm to hot afternoon conditions. Across the Midwest, temperatures are noticeably milder, with Chicago around 21 degrees Celsius and Minneapolis near 25 degrees Celsius, providing more comfortable weather. The Northeast is also enjoying moderate temperatures, with Washington near 22 degrees Celsius, New York around 23 degrees Celsius, and Ottawa close to 20 degrees Celsius. In the western United States, temperatures remain mixed. Salt Lake City is around 26 degrees Celsius, while Los Angeles is cooler near 20 degrees Celsius. The Pacific Northwest continues with pleasant conditions, with Seattle near 15 degrees Celsius. Overall, today's temperature pattern shows summer warmth dominating the south, while cooler air remains across the north and parts of the west. Looking ahead to the next 3 days, temperatures could rise further across portions of the south and central United States if warmer air expands northward. This may increase the risk of dangerous heat, especially in areas already experiencing hot conditions. Prolonged exposure to high temperatures could create hazardous conditions, particularly during the afternoon hours. Residents should stay hydrated, limit outdoor activity during peak heat, and continue monitoring local forecasts as significant temperature changes remain possible. Today's humidity map across the United States shows a noticeable contrast between the drier western states and the more humid central and eastern regions. The highest humidity levels are concentrated along the Gulf Coast and across the southeast, where Houston is near 23 degrees DP, Tampa around 25 degrees DP, and Atlanta close to 23 degrees DP. These values indicate warm and humid air, making conditions feel more uncomfortable, especially during the afternoon. Across the Central Plains, Dallas is near 21 degrees DP, showing moderate humidity. Moving northward into the Midwest, humidity decreases slightly, with Chicago around 15 degrees DP and Minneapolis near 19 degrees DP, providing more comfortable conditions. The Northeast also has moderate humidity, with Washington near 20 degrees DP, New York around 21 degrees DP, and Ottawa close to 19 degrees DP. In contrast, the western United States remains much drier. Salt Lake City is near 10 degrees DP, Los Angeles around 15 degrees DP, and Seattle close to 12 degrees DP, reflecting noticeably lower moisture levels in the air. Overall, today's humidity pattern keeps the Gulf Coast and Southeast feeling the most humid, while the West remains relatively dry. Looking ahead over the next 3 days, increasing moisture could spread farther north and east if a stronger weather system develops. That could create a much greater risk of heavy thunderstorms, torrential rainfall, and localized flash flooding in some areas. Residents should continue monitoring forecasts and stay prepared for rapidly changing humidity and weather conditions. Today's pressure map across the United States shows a broad area of relatively lower pressure covering much of the eastern United States, while slightly higher pressure is present across portions of the Midwest and parts of the Northwest. The lowest pressure on the map is located near the northeast coast, where values fall to around 999, 1003 megabytes near New York and surrounding coastal areas. This lower pressure supports a more active atmosphere across the northeast. Farther west, pressure gradually increases, with Chicago near 1014 megabytes and Minneapolis around 1013 megabytes, indicating a more stable environment across much of the upper Midwest. Across the southern plains, Dallas is near 1011 megabytes, Houston around 1012 megabytes, and Tampa close to 1011 megabytes, showing relatively steady pressure conditions along much of the Gulf Coast. In the western United States, pressure varies between 1008 and 1018 megabytes, with stronger high pressure remaining near the Pacific Northwest. Overall, today's pressure pattern shows the greatest contrast between the lower pressure in the east and the higher pressure across parts of the west and upper Midwest. Looking ahead over the next 3 days, pressure differences could strengthen if another weather system develops across the eastern half of the country. That may increase the potential for a much more dangerous weather pattern, including stronger storm development, damaging winds, and rapidly changing atmospheric conditions. Residents should continue monitoring official forecasts and remain prepared if pressure changes become more pronounced during the coming days.